just to get drunk. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm actually enjoying the beer because I'm analyzing it. I'm becoming one with the beer, dude. Once you sit there and sip on it and really pick up its flavors, it's just, you enjoy the beer on a whole nother state. That's a
That was well said, Chris. Video to Chris Johnson. Hello, Chris Johnson. It's your pal Earl Portland. Good video, man. Really appreciate it. And what you said and then another answer on that video were two different answers that I had never heard before. It was exactly why I asked the question. Malt liquor. So delicious. It's like 103 today. Let me answer one of your questions and directly relate it to what you just said. What am I doing on YouTube? I'm making videos of my life, my thoughts, my actions, where I'm at, what I'm wearing, who I'm with, how I'm feeling. And I think that over the years, what that will bring me is a greater understanding about who I am as a person. Also, though, because I'm connected via the tubes to so many different people, you mentioned Troy and Dorf, we'll talk about them in a moment, that I could not only see how people react to me and use that as a mirror about who I am as a person, how people respond to me and why, but also how I do respond to other people, how I should respond to other people, and how well that works out. And then what does that say about me as a person by how I treat other folks? So the reason I'm in the tubes is for self-exploration. That's what I'm up to. And sometimes I ask questions that get people like get your hackles raised, because sometimes you have to dynamite question answers out of people sometimes. Sometimes like Troy calls me a troll sometimes. But sometimes it's all I could do to get somebody to respond to me. So actually that's another thing. People said, I guess a couple of people called me an attention whore recently. I thought it was kind of funny, except for the fact that I don't point my finger at any one person and say, Chris, you answer me about this or anything like that, unless we are talking back and forth via video. But I'm like, would someone answer me about why you make beer review videos or anything else that I post? Oh man, it's so good. All right, so. Oh, and the other thing too is you called me a cowboy wannabe, and I think I would be a cowboy wannabe if I was actually trying to work on a range or something like that, or like I go to cowboy bars, or I wear cowboy outfits, or I would ride in a mechanical bull, or any of that stuff. Take line dancing. But for me, it's like if you asked me what I believe in. I would tell you I'm a Buddhist. And if you ask me what kind of Buddhist, which sometimes people ask me what kind of Buddhist, and I'm like, my kind of Buddhist. But if you ask me what I use as a kind of a ready-made set of boundaries and expectations of me and other people, as everyday life, I'm not a Buddhist in everyday life. In everyday life, I am a cowboy. I believe in cowboy culture. I believe that certain men have guidelines that they follow, and I've brought this up a bunch of times. And actually, this is a question that a lot of people answer me in a pretty consistent manner, saying I don't believe that you should have guidelines in life. I think that you should take everything on the volley and on the fly. But for me, I find I get more, just just what I like about that statement of you get more out of like your enjoyment of the beer or the drinking, or like this directly relates, your mental exercise directly relates to everything in life. By making yourself more in tune with it, you get more out of it. And there's like a method to your reviews. And my method in regular everyday life is cowboy culture. It brings more to my attention rating somebody, like for instance, like you send some, like rating, you're rating beers. Like say I rate, I'm on a job site and I'm like, hey man, would you walk over the job site again and pick up any tools that we may have missed before we leave? And you tell that to somebody and they come back with like a hammer and a crowbar. You tell that to somebody else and they come back with a hammer, a crowbar, 16 nails, a rock, 2 sticks, and a railroad spike. He's like, I also checked the backyard. There was a railroad spike back there. I'm like, damn right, man. Like, sticks can be used as tools. Like, I'm pretty sure we didn't bring sticks with us, but like I said, go get some tools, and guy brought back a lever. Like you run that through your cowboy culture computer, and like one guy you're gonna hire on next season, the other guy, like, go ahead and keep that hammer and crowbar, buddy. Oh, God, that malt liquor tastes so good. Troy. Into Troy. Like you had kind of like a lot of things to say, but I'm only gonna cover a couple. Troy and Dorf. Now, what I talked to you about, how I am perceived by others and how they respond to me. Now, Troy is a great example. This is a great thing that I could learn from Troy. Troy has taught me a lot. Troy's valuable to me. Troy and I were in a group together, the 40 Ounce Metal Crew. And one night we were all talking, and I had a misunderstanding with one of the members, and he realized it was a misunderstanding the next day. He said something like, "No one better call me Banana," and I'm like, all right, Mr. Banana," and he freaked out. Everyone realized that I was just joking the next day, but I got kicked out, and I'm like, hey man, don't kick me out. That's BS over a misunderstanding. Like no one even asked me about it. No one told me like we're going to kick you out because I just found out I was kicked out. And Troy has been kicked out of many things, and also been forgiven and let back in as well in different situations in his life that I know about, that he shared with me. And I went to Troy and I'm like, Troy, don't you think that like, you know that was a misunderstanding, and don't you think that I could be let back into the 40 Ounce Metal Crew? And he's like, oh, I could let you in because I'm an administrator. I'm like, oh, okay, well, do you want to let me in? He's like, no. And he was like really kind of like laughing and kicking at me, while I was down. And I thought that was really interesting. Now, this is a person who's benefited from forgiveness and a reopening of arms by people that have set boundaries for him, and he's broken those boundaries. And then they try to reestablish boundaries and then offer him a second chance. I thought that was really interesting that he would take that opportunity not to show that same kind of generosity, not show that same kind of like sense of we make mistakes, but can't we all believe, or shouldn't we all believe in redemption? It's another cowboy culture a theme of redeeming yourself. There is another quote that I quite like is I'll give you another quote too. Another quote I like is there is something in the misfortune of others that does not quite displease us, and that some people kind of get joy out of the calamities of others. And this is something I pick up from Troy. Like, this is something that I've learned that is a part of who he is. And then how do I react to that, and also do I see that in other aspects of life? And then also what the quote I remembered, which I probably should have opened the video with, was, "What am I doing?" And the answer is, one of the answers is I'm drinking malt liquor, and talking with folks on the internet. Like, it's talking around the campfire with beers on our hands, except it's global. I'm talking to people all around the world on a regular basis for years. It's pretty amazing. You just said you got involved in a couple months. Like, it's amazing the communities that you could find out there and how you could be a part of them. Oh, and he who makes a beast of himself gets rid of the pain, Chris, of being a man. So let's finish this and finish talking about Dorf. I had more to say, but I think that, like, make this a medium-sized video. Now, Dorf's an interesting character. I quite like Dorf. I like Troy. I like Dorf. I think you haven't been around a whole lot, so you haven't seen the years of our interactions together. They're nuanced. Dorf and I've met in real life. And actually, my first encounter with Dorf, you probably saw that on the video, was a negative encounter. His very first comment on my video that joined the community was a negative one, a critical one. But then I kind of gained traction in the community. The community really welcomed me in. It's what I like about the YouTube drinking community. Everybody's welcome. You don't need to be invited to join, and you can't be kicked out. And you could say and do pretty much anything you want, with the understanding that we're going to have our reaction to it. We're going to say and do whatever we want about what you've done, if we like. And that's part of what binds us together, rugby, as a community. I mean, our rituals, our history, and our interaction with each other, our non-stop interaction with each other. So I really got involved in the community, and so Dorf changed his mind. He saw me as somebody who was valuable then. He was coming through Portland, and he wanted to meet up. And it became apparent to me when we were meeting that he wanted to use me as, and I thought about this earlier today actually. There's trolling, right, where you kind of innocently and cleverly provoke somebody to anger. I thought today about princessing. You pretend to be a victim and encourage other people to fight that bully. And he was like, kept trying to get me to fight some guys on the internet for him. I'm like, I don't want to fight those guys on the internet for you, dude. Like, put on some big boy pants. That's kind of weird, actually. But he wouldn't drop it. I kept saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And he wouldn't drop it. And Chris, he didn't drop it for freaking years. For years, he kept after me. Years after years of me saying, dude, stop it. And finally, I just started posting the stuff he wrote me online, and that stopped him. But it was years, dude. So, like, you could get mad about how I treat Troy, but I think I treat Troy according to my idea of right and wrong cowboy culture. I like Troy. I respect a lot about Troy. Troy's got some serious flaws. Troy is probably going to drink himself to death. I like Dorf. I think he's kind of an everyman's man. I think he's creative, smart, and skilled. I think that I had some of his homebrew. It was fan-freaking-tastic. I wish he would take that and make something great with his life with that. But he's some kind of man-boy princess. I don't know, some sort of man-boy princess craft beer cunt is what he is. So I'll be interested to see how things turn out over the years. Like, I've known him for a long time, just like I've known Troy for a long time. And maybe, Chris, I'll know you for a long time. Oh, speaking of which, though, you spelled my name wrong in the title of your video. I hope you correct that, because sometimes if YouTube works right, if I put your name in my video, it comes up as a connected video to your videos. And if my name is in your video, they come up as connected. They're related videos. So I'll make sure I get your name right and put a link in in my description to your video. I appreciate your response, and I also, no hard feelings. A lot of times I ask questions in a way that triggers people, and because it seems like if I just ask subtly, I get nada. So I've dropped the settle. And this is part of what I've learned, not only about me, but about other people. Is that sometimes you can't be subtle if you want something to happen. All right, Chris, I hope it wasn't too long of a video for you. I'll see you in the tubes, buddy.